Happy you could come along. We are joined as always by Greg Engert, beer director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group of Food and Wine Sommelier of the Year. The group includes Church Key and Birch and Barley. Of course, there is Columbia Firehouse in Old Town. Greg, it is always good to see you.
Good to see you, Brennan.
What is on tap this week, or in a big bottle?
We're in a big bottle, and we're in a big bottle from Goose Island, the subsidiary of Anheuser-Busch InBev. That is my favorite example of how, I mean, you know, I understand if you have issues with giant corporations, that's fine. But as far as the beers go, they haven't skipped a beat since AB InBev took over. And in fact, it's been a few years. And in fact, you know, they've moved into lots of different markets. And in some ways, you know, they're producing more. So Goose Island is probably best known, and rightfully so, for their amazing string of Bourbon County stouts, which we've tasted and talked about in the past. But I think that they have an equally impressive array of sour beers, barrel-aged beers that are often fruited, like Halia here, that are incredible and amazing. And they call them the Four Sisters. There's Juliet, which is the first one they ever brewed back in 2007. There's Lolita. There is Jillian, and then Halia, which they brewed for the first time in 2013. They also have a nice sour beer called Madame Rose. So these come out mostly in large format bottles throughout the year. Halia just dropped it. It's perfect for right now because it is a 7.5% blonde ale, kind of a saison that's then aged for over a year in wine barrels with 50 pounds of peaches per barrel. So nice and peachy, tart, little winey.
Oh, it's gotten inviting. Now this is a beer for summer,
peachy, yeah.
Is it not?
Nice little bit of oak character on the nose. Sour and tart in the finish.
Not overly so, though.
No,
not at all.
A little bit of tannin. So they use what we call neutral wine barrels, basically oak wine barrels that have been used by winemakers so many times that they've almost become neutral. You don't get a lot of like either red or white wine character. What you're getting mostly is just a nice house for the beer to mature, for wild yeast and some positive bacteria to be happy and to work on the beer, dry them out, give you some acidity and some funk, but then also some nice tannins. You know, I wouldn't say this tastes like white wine or red wine, but it has a great dryness on the palate, a little bit of a toasted oaky quality in the nose, and man, I mean, the peach note is incredibly vibrant.
It's fantastic.
Delicious, delicious beer. So, Halia is an incredible beer. This is actually the beer that they make the least of. It's the smallest production amount of any of their bottled beers. So, of all those sour sister beers I talked about, or any of the beers they make, Halia is the smallest production. So, if you see it, grab it and certainly drink it right now because it's the perfect time of year.
And it is, for people who are only listening on the radio, it is H-A-L-I-A.
Halia, yes. Halia.
What would you pair this with?
Peaches, and well, so I've always tried, now that we've done this for so long now, and I think the idea of beer pairing is no longer kind of like wild and woolly. I try to come up with some of the more like kind of interesting pairings you might not think of immediately. So, you know, one of the more obvious things to me is like seafood stuff, so like grilled shrimp. Grilled peaches are so fantastic. You can do it with any kind of like salad, of course, bringing that peach and acidic, almost like vinaigrette quality. But also, I actually like peaches in a beer that's light and refreshing like this with richer meats. So this with ribs is incredible, like grilled ribs, or even like a grilled skirt steak. The acid digs into the richness, it livens it up and brightens it up and brings that kind of peachy quality, which works well with the meats.
Yeah, Greg mentioned how long we've been doing this. For 3.5 years. WTOP Radio and WTOP.com have had a fantastic relationship with the Neighborhood Restaurant Group that I hope has been mutually beneficial. I think it has been from the WTOP side.
No, absolutely. Also allows us to drink some good beers every now and then.
But on that note, to mention for them, Snallygaster is returning for the third year?
This will actually be our fourth
okay.
annual Snallygaster.
Fourth annual Snallygaster this fall. And I don't just bring it up, you know, to sell tickets, but I bring it up because there are still tickets available. Mm-hmm. And if you love craft beer, it's just a great thing to do with some of your friends. Tell us about it
Sure,
briefly,
yeah, absolutely.
and where people can find out more about it.
Well, first off, and this was not planned at all, we actually are we're gonna have 300 beers this year, which is the most we've ever done. Every year I like to increase it by 50 just to make my life a little bit more harried and difficult, but no, it's gonna be amazing. And one of those 300 beers, and I'm not making this up, is actually gonna be Halia on draft, so that's going to be fantastic. I've already got those kegs set aside for the event. Another one that I can mention too is, just because I want to, is Founder's Canadian Breakfast Stout, which is like CBS, one of the hardest beers in the world to find. We'll have that on draft. But 300 beers, it's down here right near Blue Jacket, near Nat Stadium, H&I lot, and this year...
Same place as last year.
Yeah, same place as last year, but also across the street in the F lot, we've got some room there, so it's going to be bigger, better, still going, all proceeds going to support Arcadia, Center for Sustainable Food and Agriculture, which is our nonprofit that does a lot of great work for the food community in the area. It's on September 12th, 2015. If you can get your hands on some VIP tickets, which are going fast, you get in at 11:30. Everybody else gets in at 1. It goes to 6, and as Brennan knows, I think you've joined us each year so far.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
It's a pretty great time.
And last year I couldn't get enough of the Green Flash Mango Habanero.
West Coast IPA on cask. So I'm going to put in a specific request for that again.
You're the man.
All right.
And there's a website?
Yeah, www.snallygaster.dc.com.
Okay, all right, Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Hope to see you at Snallygaster in September. Please always do drink responsibly, and be sure to bring your thirst next time for another Beer of the Week.